Hey, welcome back to the How To Gamers YouTube channel. I'm the Pi, your local resident Kepler guide, and today we're going to be changing pace a little bit. We're going to check out some lore from Population Zero on a new segment I'd like to call Kepler's Mysteries Uncovered. Let's check it out. As of now, little is actually known about the alien tech that was removed from the spacecraft. Like, where did it come from? And why did it crash on Earth? Who is the corporation, and what is their true motive to send people to Kepler? Why push so hard to send people before sending test ships to make sure it is safe? And what was it that made the Artemis explode upon arrival to Kepler? Was it alien tech that failed, or human error? Something else? Maybe most of all, why are there humanoid beings on the planet we're visiting for the first time? These are a lot of the questions that I've had. Hopefully some we get answered as we go through this. This is Population Zero, and it's just a little bit of lore. Here's the first segment that we're checking out. So this is the first bit that they give us, and I think it's actually pretty telling, okay? It's a flyer and a gentleman's experience going to try and join the ranks of the colonists. Now the flyer is pretty basic. It just gives a really kind of general idea of, hey, you should come join us and be a part of something bigger. You know, try and check this unfamiliar planet out with a young civilization, a new beginning, your name forever engraved in history. So really just trying to get people to come. And on the right, it gives the experience that this gentleman had, which is really the funny part, because he actually seems to be, you know, a button-up guy going to check out and become part of this movement, and the people that are in the office waiting for him are definitely not the best. I'm going to read this middle part that describes people waiting to see doctors so they can join the ranks of the colonists. The crowded lobby reeked of sweat and cheap cigarettes. A teenager dressed in an old coat was wearily scanning throughout his medical test results. A tattooed, broad-shouldered elderly man was bending over in pain. Someone had just punched him in the gut while shoving their way through the crowd. A girl was quietly pulling a wallet out of a stranger's pocket. A woman shaking with uncontrollable laughter was being dragged out of the nearest office and sent yet to another doctor. All of them were handed out an envelope with the same verdict: fit for service. Now, I just think this is hilarious because they're obviously checking these people out before they get sent to the Artemis, and they're going to be headed to the colonists. And none of these people look like somebody I would be wanting to be stuck on an alien planet with or in any kind of spaceship. Here we have the second release of lore. Now it looks like somebody probably reading an email that it looks to be a hologram from maybe space or spaceport or maybe from the Artemis. But it describes the creation of the flyer that we saw in the first one, and pretty much saying that the idea of what he was writing was too bland and they need to make sure that they have a really strong message. And P.S. don't forget about the colonized with the whole family special offer. And it just gets me every single time, guys. Don't forget about the special offer. You bring the family, you can bring the dog too. Why not? Bring them on down. Now this one's a little more serious. It's kind of more depicting the people that are the ones trying to apply to become colonists. Gentleman on the right, and obviously looking to the stars. And it has a bit about his normal job, day in, day out, rinse and repeat. And obviously this gentleman is looking for something. Now this one's a little more serious and it doesn't really have any humor, so it's not one of my favorites. But moving on quickly, now we're on to the fourth one. This is actually probably my favorite entry so far. It's a communication between an expert and somebody on TV, Yoko Tano and Richard Tell. Now, they have the expert on and she's trying to talk to him about the craze that is going to Kepler and the Artemis and what's going on and she asks a question about the colonists risking their own lives. And Richard Tell says a few things about them not knowing what awaits them, but humans in general tend to underestimate the hardships and what there's going to be facing. And we're like exploring people, but he also kind of goes and slips and says that the corporation sponsors movies about Kepler and spends billions on the Artemis brand. That there might be a deeper meaning behind all of the money they're spending, where Yoko then laughs it off and says, pinpoints one of the things he says where he said forced to do something. She says, "This is a strong word, don't you think?" And quickly changes the subject to social injustice and said, "It's like bring out murder bees, guys." It just gets me. Now, number 5, we have a communication between people that are actually in the construction of the Artemis. Now, this one actually has a couple little markers that would say they're not doing things quite on the up and up. It's a message to Dr. Langley, right? And this person, Mark Rowland, worked in the technical compartment of the Artemis. Now, Mark has noticed a few different things that seem off about the engine, and he's trying to ask some questions, looking for blueprints and trying to inspect some of the stuff to make sure that people are going to be safe. And he's asking for the ability to discuss this in private, and they can meet up someplace sometime. Now, on the top left of the screen, we see blood spatter. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that meeting didn't happen, and that the corporation probably isn't on the up and up about what's going on. And the last excerpt we have so far is a newspaper report from the Neo Observer, right? And it reads, "Experts on possible risks of Kepler mission." If I had a second favorite, this would be it. I'm going to read this one out loud. "Experts on possible risks of Kepler mission. Last week, a debate took place at Massachusetts University of Technology between prominent politicians Martin Reeve and Professor Helen McTower. The meeting discussed the upcoming mission to Kepler 43AB, the colonization of the planet, and the risks associated with this project. Here are the main points made by the parties. Mr. Reeve believes that the expedition members are exposing themselves to unjustified danger. No research spacecrafts have been launched to Kepler, and the information about the natural and chemical conditions on the surface may have been inaccurate. Moreover, the preparation of the required number of colonists will take a great deal of effort, including the creation of specialized secondary schools. Professor McTower claims that this view, though popular, is completely unfounded. Modern telescopes have high resolution, and recent achievements in wave analysis will allow one to accurately determine the elemental composition of the surface of planets that are hundreds of light years away from us. Last but not least, in case of failure, the colonists and researchers will be able to return to Earth. The Artemis will have everything necessary for that." Oh, now we know how that one ends up, because the Artemis doesn't end up staying around once it gets to Kepler. Okay, so that's no good. And them telling us that the telescopes and the wave analysis, and if not, the Artemis can bring them back. Well, we know the Artemis isn't going to bring them back. And I don't think those telescopes and that wave analysis was doing too much. Alright, that's going to do it for now, guys. Now, if you want to keep up with Population Zero and the lore as it comes out, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, guys, don't forget to wash your hands.